May I come in?
Please come in.
Morning, sir.
Please,
Morning.
Dikshita, please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Diksha, can you tell us something about yourself?
So my name is
You'll be appearing for the interview in English?
Yes, sir.
Fine.
My name is Dikshita Joshi. I belong to Nainital district in Uttarakhand. I have completed my graduation in mechanical engineering from Govind Ballabh Pant University of Agriculture and Technology in Pantnagar. Thereafter, I have pursued Masters in Energy Systems from Indian Institute of Technology, Mandi in Himachal Pradesh. I completed my education in 2019, and since then, I have been preparing for civil services examination.
You've also been, I think you have been working as an assistant teacher?
So
or teaching assistant?
It was during my
when you were
Masters.
studying there. All right. So as of today, you're doing nothing except preparing?
Yes, sir.
And this is your first attempt?
It's a third attempt.
Your third attempt. What about your other hobbies and interests?
So my interest is religious tourism, and my hobbies are watching women-centric Indian films and cardio workout.
All right. Dikshita, during the last 2 days, the newspapers have been full about certain news regarding Uttarakhand.
Yes, sir.
One is Haldwani,
Yes, sir.
the second is Joshimath.
Yes, sir.
You have talked also of religious tourism.
Yes, sir.
It appears that the state of Uttarakhand has been inviting too many people to itself.
Yes, sir.
And as a result, the state is not being able to bear the load.
Yes, sir.
The Joshimath is sinking.
Yes, sir.
What do you have to say about this?
So it is true that the amount of tourist inflow in Uttarakhand is even more than the population of Uttarakhand itself. So there is a pressure on the local resources. But I would think that the tourist arrival is mostly concentrated in certain areas, for example in Char Dham and Nainital, Mussoorie. However, there are other locations also in Uttarakhand where these tourists can be dispersed, and they can be, the quantity intake can be regulated. For instance, Bhutan has imposed a quantity on the number of tourists that can arrive at a particular location. So that can be used.
So you're advocating something like a pass system, a visa system, or perhaps like you can't enter into certain Lakshadweep without a pass. So you think that you are advocating something of that type? That how do you regulate the numbers?
Sir, I'm saying in the sense of quota limit that can be set into it.
How can it be done?
Sir, for example, if we are registering for Char Dham Yatra, then we can set a limit on the number of tourists that we are ready to intake at a particular time. Say for a month, we can allow around 20,000 to 30,000 tourists. And beyond that, we don't permit.
So will you not allow them to enter into the state at all?
So for the tourist place, I'm saying.
How will you do it? How will it be practically possible? I come to Dehradun and I want to go to some place.
Yes,
will you stop me from going?
So ideally, I should not, but in order to reduce the load on the area, I think we need measures like these.
See, but measures have got to be practical.
Yes, sir.
Because as an administrator, you'll be continuously faced with these sort of situations.
Yes, sir.
And the business of an administrator is to ultimately bring out a balance.
Yes, sir.
How will you do that? Because the incident that has taken place at Joshimath with the entire town sinking,
yes, sir,
is remarkable.
Yes, sir.
Thousands and thousands of people can lose their lives,
yes,
just
sir.
the way that happened in 2013.
Yes, sir.
So this is, I think, that the government should set up and think about it. I don't know whether you have been to Mussoorie or Nainital recently or not.
Yes, sir.
It takes 2.5 hours to enter into Mussoorie.
Yes, sir. The traffic problem.
2 kilometers, 2.5 hours.
Yes, sir.
The place is choking. The same for Nainital.
Yes, sir.
This time, I think they did introduce this restriction that
yes, sir.
you cannot enter into Nainital unless you have a hotel booking.
Yes, sir. And during summers also, the High Court imposes a limit on the number of arrivals that can be allowed in Nainital.
So as a result of what has happened in Joshimath, the Char Dham road has been stopped.
Yes, sir.
The construction has been stopped temporarily. The ropeway has also been stopped. So is that a solution? The court had actually imposed a stay on the Char Dham road.
Yes, sir.
But the government asked that it should be allowed. Including the Indian military asked that it should be allowed.
Yes, sir.
And this consequence was not seen.
Yes, sir. So the Ravi Chopra committee that was instituted for that, it had also recommended not taking up the Char Dham project, and it had set the limit of widening the road, and the government went beyond that. Sir, I think more stakeholder consultation should be taken into consideration before taking up these projects, because it is a ecologically sensitive zone and a very important, not just for Uttarakhand but for Indian geography also.
True. You have said that your interest is religious tourism. You go to temples for the purpose of tourism or for the purpose of pilgrimage?
So mostly tourism.
Tourism, you just go to see the temple?
Yes, sir.
All right. Suddenly, I think so Uttarakhand has become a very important pilgrim center.
Yes.
In the sense everyone is going to Kedarnath. I think it's now more popular than Vaishno Devi.
Yes, sir.
You have also said that your interest is in watching women-centric Indian films.
Yes, sir.
Which are the films that you have seen in the recent past which are women-centric?
Sir, there is a Malayalam film that is The Great Indian Kitchen. That is about that is a story about a housewife who and the struggles that she faces. She comes from a very privileged family and is married into a very educated family. Her husband is even a sociology professor. And the movie draws a contrast there that even after being so educated, there are certain patriarchal norms in the family that even though her husband and her father-in-law do not even pick up their plates after dinner. So that was the movie that I watched recently.
Lovely. That's a very, very good choice that you made, because generally people will be taking some specific Hindi film names. But you watch a Malayalam film and you were able to appreciate the theme. It's very wonderful. Lastly, I would like to ask you that I think that sociology was your subject.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what some prominent social problems that India is facing today?
Sir, one is that comes to my mind is India is performing rather poorly in gender gap index of the World Economic Forum. The other is the issue of economically weaker section reservation. That is an issue. Sir, I can think of
that is now established that it is there. It's been, this constitutionality has been approved.
Yes, sir.
So why should that be an issue?
Sir, I mean that India is moving beyond caste and towards economical
so that is a positive thing. I'm asking what are the problems? Women, yes. Gender inequality, yes.
Sir, recently around the Samat Shikharji tourist place in Jharkhand, that was in news with regard to conversion of that place into a religious tourism place. So the Jain community has raised concerns against it. That is a issue. And sir, I think, and largely communalism is an issue for India right now.
Good.
Sorry, Dikshita, you mentioned about gender gap.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about gender gap in India, especially, it's across the world, of course. But what do you think in India are the main reasons for this gender gap in every aspect continuing? And you've come from Uttarakhand. What is the situation there? What is gender gap there in terms of literacy, in terms of all the various parameters? And in general, what are your views on bridging the gender gap?
Ma'am, the Global Gender Gap Index evaluates on 4 indicators. One is the economic, the political, health, and education. I think India is doing good with the education index, and we have mostly bridged the gap. We even have gender parity in higher education. But with respect to the economic participation, health and political participation, we are still lagging behind. That are the participation of women in parliament is below world average. That is an issue, and that is present in Uttarakhand also. In Uttarakhand State Legislative Assembly also, it is less than 10%. Then with respect to health, the major issues that the Uttarakhand faces is maternal mortality rate. The rate of institutional births is still low in Uttarakhand. Other than that, economic empowerment is lagging behind because overall employment rate in India is falling down. Unemployment rate is rising. So that is an issue. And
No social issues, no patriarchal mindset issues.
yes, ma'am.
Are these not issues which are holding girls back in India and in Uttarakhand?
Yes, ma'am. Behind these are more apparent issues, but behind these there is still the patriarchal mindset that is there, the lack of gender inclusion at workplace or in political environment that is there.
What is your experience doing BTech and tech research? Why have you moved out of engineering?
Ma'am, my idea for moving out of engineering was not because I did not like engineering. It was because I liked civil services more.
Okay.
So in engineering also, I saw my own batch in Pantnagar while my graduation had around 28 female students in a class of 70 students, which was unlikely for a mechanical branch. Other than that, in my research also, I witnessed a lot of female researchers in my institute. So I think the situation is improving, but we need to allow women a better space at workplaces, especially. That need to be gender sensitive. We need to adopt to the life cycle of women. We need to address their maternal responsibilities also, and they need to come back to workforce, and that
After
need to
taking
be
maternity leave, etc.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
what
ma'am.
about toilets? What is your experience about toilets for women in your school, in your college, in your workplace, or whatever, wherever you've been in Uttarakhand?
Ma'am, thankfully in my colleges there was quite
Separate.
good facilities. But yes, because my mother is a government teacher, I have seen that in her school there were no separate washrooms for girls. In last few years only they have come up. So yes, there is a problem. There is problem in hospitals also. There is no separate washroom for women.
So if you are posted as DM, will you focus on these issues in your own district, supposing you get posted?
Most definitely, ma'am.
You will, but how will you go about it? Because they build toilets and that's the end of it.
And then they lock it up.
And then they lock it up.
Yes, sir. Sir, one is that until the local community is very aware.
How will you make them aware?
Ma'am, through...
Start at the bottom.
Yes, ma'am. Through Gram Panchayats and Gram Sabhas, we can create awareness through that. We can organize programs in schools also. For example, my mother's school also organizes this kind of programs where they invite parents also, and they tell about the schemes that are going on for the students, whether it is scholarship scheme or for these financial inclusion schemes that are going on. So I think that is a way, and that has proved effective also, because the local community in that area has gotten quite aware of the issues that are that can be taken up by the local community only.
A little bit about international matters. You know, the Ukraine war and the Russian war is just going on and on. What do you think are the key reasons that this whole war is happening and not finding any resolution? What led to it? What is the main issues? And is it really only a war between Ukraine and Russia, or are there other geo-economic and geopolitical reasons for all this?
Ma'am, it is a bigger war, and it is not just between Russia and Ukraine. Russia was threatened by the NATO's incursions into its borders, and
Into its waters, no? NATO never there was no incursion by NATO into its waters.
I mean, it is progressing towards. Yes, ma'am. So,
But at the same time, if you recall, both EU and NATO had said, we're not going to take Ukraine into...
Yes, ma'am.
And yet they attacked.
Yes, ma'am.
So there is something else bigger. I mean, that's the ostensible reason, but there must be a bigger reason for all this happening and continuing. So, you know, it's almost a year now. In February, it will be 1 year.
Yeah.
Ma'am, mostly it is security issues, both with the West and the Russia. Both are nuclear powers and both are threatened by each other. So that I believe that Cold War that was in place in 90s is coming up back again.
But China has also got involved somewhere in the whole mix.
Ma'am, it is because of China's aspiration of becoming a world power and establishing a monopoly at world level. So it is trying to...
It's trying to challenge the US, and so the US is now saying, and Russia has been also on the rise, so they're
Yes,
trying
ma'am.
to maintain. So it's a geopolitical game being played really in the background.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have to focus on that as one of the reasons. And what about India's role in all this? My last question: can India play? It's been people are saying India's policy on this or its position on this is bad. Some have said bad, some have said good, and mediation has been talked about. So, what are your views on this? Is it a possibility, and is it a good thing?
Ma'am, the basic stand of India is that nation first, that it cannot compromise its national interest.
But that's for every country, I think. Nation first should be for every country if you are.
Yes, ma'am. So it cannot deteriorate its relations with Russia.
Why?
And because it is a major defense partner of India.
And been a long-standing friend.
And being a long-standing friend also. And it might need Russia if at all...
you think it will come to our help if, for instance, China attacks us? You think?
I might believe so.
You believe so? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So I think in that respect, India's stand is quite practical. While balancing USA and Russia, it is trying to manage the war situation, and we have also sent quite a lot amount of help to the refugees there. So I think it is doing good.
So India's policy has been right.
Yes, ma'am.
In this whole mix.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Dikshita, you hail from Uttarakhand.
Yes, sir.
There's always it was bifurcated from UP, and a smaller state was there, similarly in Bihar, Jharkhand, and Chhattisgarh, MP. There's always a demand for having more states. What is your view, whether the small states benefit or there should be some, or otherwise it creates problem also?
So small states are better with respect to administration because the outreach of the highest level is easier to the lowest level, and if in a bigger state the some part of it is neglected or is not provided for in that administration level, then I think smaller states are needed for better administration and development. And Uttarakhand has also seen progress after separation from Uttar Pradesh. So I think if the issue is development, then smaller states are better. But I don't think it is required for regionalism or for promoting son of soil theories.
Okay. Earlier we were talking about restricting the number of visitors or tourists to such places of having environmental problems. But just see from the point of view of local people over there, in places like Haridwar or places like Nainital or Dehradun, where it serves because their economic opportunity increases because they are dependent upon tourists, and if you restrict them, their livelihoods are affected.
Yes.
This elitist approach that economic problem will, environment problem will be there, but what about their livelihood problem? So what is your view about that? How it should be balanced? Or
So now the world is moving towards the triple P concept of balancing people, planet, and profit. So I think that should be taken care of, because if we only concentrate on the economic aspect of it, then we are inviting disasters, and that are no good for the local economy. For instance, in Rainy Village also, the floods have caused devastating impact on local economy. So I think both need to be balanced. and sustainable tourism is a way to achieve that.
Now, people sitting in Delhi, they would say that the environment should be very good and that should be there because they are affected. And but suppose their livelihood is affected, their business is affected, their sales are affected because in the winter nobody will come.
Yes, sir.
So that how will you balance? Well, some of the states like HP, they are asking that if you want to protect your environment, please give some kind of grant to us because we are not able to get the development done or we can't set up industry over there. So is that okay or how should we?
Sir, Uttarakhand also falls in the special category states, so it receives additional grants from the center. And the other thing that we can do is, for example, Bhutan imposes a sustainable development fee on the tourist over and above the tourist charges or the user charges that are taken. That can be imposed to increase the income from the limited amount of tourist inflow that is there.
Good. Have you heard of recently there has been government has set up some kind of green hydrogen mission or that kind of thing? What is that? What is this green thing about it? Or is there a black hydrogen or it is a blue hydrogen? What is that?
So green hydrogen is the hydrogen that is produced from electrolysis process, and the energy for electrolysis is derived from renewable energy. That is why it is called green hydrogen. And there is blue hydrogen also, and that is sourced from methane. And there is brown hydrogen that is sourced from carbon. And I think there is purple hydrogen that is sourced from nuclear material.
Thank you.
Dikshita, religious tourism seems like a very interesting interest.
Yes, sir.
What can you tell me about the significance of Jerusalem from a religious point of view?
So Jerusalem is an important place for Islam and for the Jewish community. It is, sir, actually I'm not quite aware of I'm not able to recall it very clearly right now.
Okay. Have you heard of the Abrahamic or Abraham Accords?
Yes, sir. It is between Israel and Palestine, and they are for. Sorry, sir. Abraham Accords are between Israel and UAE and Saudi Arabia. I think so. Sorry, sir.
Okay. Never mind. We'll move to something else. Have you heard of Cheraman Juma?
No, sir.
No. In 2016, it was very in the news, with much fanfare. Everyone was talking about it. We were talking about brotherhood and we were talking about so many other things.
Sorry, sir. I'm not able to recall.
Okay, no problem. How many Jyotirlings are there in India?
So there are 12 Jyotirlings.
Acha. Any in Uttarakhand, the state that you belong to?
So Kedarnath.
Acha. What are the other famous ones?
So there is Somnath in Gujarat, and there is Rameshwaram, and there is Jagannath in Odisha. And so
Jagannath is a Jyotirling.
That's a Vishnu temple.
Okay, sir. Sorry, sir.
No problem. More recently, Mahakaleshwar was in the news.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware? Why was it in the news?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Now we'll cross this out now. We'll move to something else. You give me a topic. Okay. MTech. Huh?
Yes, sir.
When is Engineers Day?
Sorry, sir.
Acha. Okay, you tell me. Give me a topic that we can speak about. Okay. We'll talk about IIT.
Okay, sir.
Logical. Something logical. I want your opinion about this. Have you heard of MIT, incidentally?
Yes, sir.
What is MIT?
So it is Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Very good. How many MITs are there in the world?
Sorry, sir.
Okay. There's only one.
Okay.
How many IITs are there?
Sir, in India, there are 9 new IITs were...
Give me a ballpark figure. Anything. Tell me. How many? 10, 15, 20, 25?
Sir, I think 22.
Very good,
IITs.
correct. 22 IITs, 1 MIT. Are we diluting the institution of IIT by opening up so many of them?
Sir, IITs have been a premier institute of technology and science. So, if we open up more IITs, then we are enabling more premier education in that sense. So, I think it is not until and unless we are not compromising with the faculty or the curriculum or the facilities or infrastructure that is provided to the new IITs, I don't think it is diluting the quality of.
But everyone wants to get into IIT Bombay.
Yes, sir, because it is an old institute and the new IITs have yet to set up the infrastructure and they're yet to improve their conditions. But overall, if in the coming years, I believe that new IITs will be doing well also. IIT Guwahati is doing very well at par, almost at par with the old IITs.
Do you think in the interim that we should call it something else?
Sir, I think IIT tag also gives an aspiration to an institute to achieve more and to live up to that name. So I don't think we should call it anything other than IIT.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
you, sir.
Dikshita.
Okay, Dikshita, have you ever been to Khajuraho temple?
Sir, no.
Have you heard about this
Yes, sir.
temple? Okay. Can you believe that this Khajuraho temple should be really termed as Khajuraho temples? Because in temple there must be some rituals, worship and everything. Can you, this is an essential part of the temple. In that sense, can you say these monuments as a temple?
Sir, it was built by the Chandela rulers as temple only. And so I think...
Why not worship is going on these days in this temple premises, or you can say temple complex?
Sir, if I'm not wrong, it is based on tantric practices. So perhaps... Sorry, sir, I don't know about that.
Okay, again, what is the philosophy of architecture of Khajuraho temple? Can you say me something about that?
Sir, it is built with soapstone and...
Please listen me. What is the philosophy of temple architecture of Khajuraho?
sorry, sir, I'll look into this.
Okay. Have you heard about Palitana?
No, sir.
You don't know. Actually, your one of the hobbies is your religious tourism.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you name some of the Jaina religious sites in India?
Sir, there are Jain temples in Rajasthan,
Mount Abu Khara.
Dilwara temples, and there is Padmanabha Swami temple in south. I am not sure of in which state it is. And there is this Srimat Shikharji temple in Jharkhand, which is in news. And
Have you ever been to any mosque?
no, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Or ever been to a Gurudwara?
Gurudwara, yes, sir.
Okay. Why you have not been to a mosque?
Sir, I have not, it's, I am actually...
If I'm not wrong, you said to sir, okay, that was your, for tourism purpose, you are going
Yes,
to
sir.
different religious sites, right?
Yes,
now.
sir.
That's why I'm asking these questions.
Yes, sir. Sir, I mostly in with respect to temples also, I have visited in my own state only. And for mosque, I think I did not visit or have not visited so far because I am not aware of any mosque site that is located at a beautiful location or that offers touristic opportunities or...
Have you ever been to Delhi?
Yes, sir, I've been.
Have you been to the Jama Masjid or the any of the mosques in Delhi? They're all tourist places. Humayun's tomb.
Humayun's tomb, I have been to
Yeah.
Humayun's tomb, sir. And Yes, sir.
Okay, what do you mean by religion? For you, what is religion?
So religion for me is a very personal pursuit of discovering yourself also, and beyond and what is beyond our and this world that is there. So I think that is a religion for me.
And what is religion for your country?
Sir, India is a secular country. So India follows constitution. Constitution is the religion of India.
What do you mean by secularism for India?
Sir, India follows positive secularism, wherein it maintains certain distance from the religion, but seeks to interfere to ensure inter and intra-religious equality.
Or do you think that Indian secularism is something like Western secularism, or it is different from that?
Sir, it is different from Western secularism.
How it is different?
Sir, in Western secularism, they follow complete separation of state and religion.
That's fine to me.
Yeah, please.
Before we conclude, I want to ask you this question, that you've done a thesis on eco-friendly technology on refrigeration using sound thermoacoustic refrigeration. What is this? In brief, if you can tell us, what is this about? I was just very curious.
Yes,
has new technology for refrigeration come in which is eco-friendly? I think, just can you tell us briefly what it is about?
Ma'am, actually it uses a tube. It is called a resonator. We place a acoustic driver or a loudspeaker at the one end. It is a hollow tube. And we place an acoustic driver at one end of the tube. And inside it we place a stack of plates. And they are made of non-conducting material. And at this end we have sound waves producing. And we generate a standing wave inside this tube. Standing wave in the sense that we achieve a net compression and a net expansion of gas inside this tube.
There's gas inside the tube.
Mostly air can also be used.
Okay.
So the stack are so thinly spaced that the gas parcels within the stack, when they are compressed, their pressure increases and their temperature increases. And as they at one end, their temperature increases beyond the environment. So they release heat outside to the environment when their temperature is above the atmospheric temperature. When the gas is expanded, it cools down to a temperature lower than the atmospheric temperature. So it takes heat from the atmosphere. And in that sense, it generates a gradient between the two ends of the stack. And that's how we achieve a cooling effect.
How cool does it become? Refrigeration, you require -, degrees.
No.
Does it go to below zero or just little above zero?
Ma'am, it is actually in initial phase. So we have achieved only 5 to 7 degrees of gradient, delta T.
5 to 7
Yes,
degrees.
ma'am.
It's not been it's not reached the actual
No, ma'am.
cooling
The
state.
research is going
So as of
on.
today, there is no commercial value to it.
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dikshita. I think you can just wait outside. Interview is over and we'll call you back for feedback.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Good candidate.
So may I come?
Please come. Well, Dikshita, tell us what do you feel about your interview?
Sir, I need to.
First of all, sit in a relaxed fashion.
Yes, don't sit on the edge of the chair.
Don't sit on the edge of the chair, and this is going to be our advice to you also. Now you are not facing the interview board, now you're sitting.
Okay.
Now tell us, what do you feel?
Sir, I need to read more on international issues, especially. And I need to work on my confidence also, because the moment I did not know about Jerusalem, I forgot about Abraham Accord also. So
Have you appeared in any mock interview before this?
No, sir.
No, this is your first?
Yes, sir.
So no problem. I think so that you'll gradually develop more confidence.
And when is your interview? Sorry.
So, ma'am, the date has not
come. So
yet.
yours after
Lot of
March.
time.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Well, from our side, I think that you are an excellent candidate.
Okay,
You have done very well. And we feel that you will do very well. Now that you have got adequate time with you, you can brush up whatever things that you feel you're not very sure about. I'm sure that you will do very well. Now, there are certain things that you would like to bring to your notice. First is the posture of sitting.
Okay, sir.
You appear to be very tensed up.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure that you were tensed. I think it's very natural, but you should not give that impression, especially at least in seating.
Okay.
You were sitting all through very, very tensed up and stressed, So you should relax a little bit.
Okay.
Your hands also, there was no movement of your hands.
Okay,
You were
sir.
all absolutely frozen. So you try to be more relaxed.
Okay, sir.
Now you are smiling now, but you were not smiling at that time at all.
Okay, sir.
You were so tense that you just did not smile even once.
Yes, sir.
Learn to smile. Smile carefully in a calibrated manner. You should not look frivolous. It should not look casual. But whenever there is a need to smile, it actually disarms the person who's asking the question.
Yes, sir.
If you are give a good smile, the person is disarmed. When she was talking about the empowerment of women in Uttarakhand, I think you should have been far more forceful. I think the women of Uttarakhand are really liberated. It's one of the most empowered states, all the hill states. The women are the people actually who run the economy there. It's been traditional that the men only drink and the women work and smoke. So you need not say it in that way.
Okay.
But I can say this thing with some confidence because I have a lot. I know a lot of the hills. That the women of the hill states are very liberated in the sense that they are the breadwinners of the family in most of the cases, or used to be. Now it might be a bit different, but they are very liberated. They are they are politically empowered. All that is there, and I think so. You should be very confident when you talk about the status of women in the hills.
Okay, sir.
Historically, they have been very strong.
Okay, sir.
Your dress sense is very nice, very good.
Thank you.
And one good thing that we observed is that you think before you answer. You internalize the question. And but don't take too much of time.
Okay, sir.
And if you take too much of time, you can ask, sir, can I take 30 seconds?
Okay, sir.
Because that gives the panel an impression that you're thinking.
Okay.
Otherwise, it can also give an impression that you're confused.
Okay, sir.
You do not know the answer and you're trying to conjure up something. You're trying to guess. So I think that when you are thinking, it should be a brief period of silence. Or if it's going to be a longer one, you can ask the panel, so can I take 30 seconds?
Okay.
Your voice level needs to be raised.
Okay.
You are speaking at a very low,
Very soft. So you
it's
have to
very soft.
concentrate a little bit. So you have to.
It's not a drawing room conversation, mind you. This is a interview where you have got to catch the attention. We should not strain to hear what you are saying.
Yes, sir.
It also shows a little bit of confidence. The moment you raise your voice to a certain level, people know that you are confident of you are about what you are saying. Your points about Bhutan were very good. When you talked about this thing that a tourist charge, perhaps to balance the limitation on the number of tourists who should be allowed. But when you give a suggestion, you should know what are the implications of that suggestion. When you said we should allow a certain number of people, how do you do it?
Yes, sir.
There are many things which are very good, which are utopian, but you cannot do it. I'm sure that the government of Uttaranchal has always been trying to do this thing that not too many people should rush to either Nainital or to Mussoorie, but it still happens and it's politically so difficult to stop people. Everyone is going to Mussoorie. Everyone from Delhi is going to Mussoorie
Yes,
every weekend.
Yes, sir.
So you've got to be careful that whenever you suggest a solution, you must know how it is going to be implemented. It has to be a pragmatic and a practical solution.
Okay, sir.
Your answer about hydrogen, green hydrogen and purple hydrogen and brown hydrogen was wonderful. Very impressive. You got actually confused about Jerusalem.
Yes.
And since it was so out of context, that I'm sure that you would have got confused.
Sir,
But the thing is that when you talk of religious tourism, maybe you have suggested it, written this thing in the impression that people will not ask too much. Or this is a easy question to answer. Mind you, people are going to question you a lot on this.
Okay, sir.
Because religious tourism has become the in thing in these days. Everyone is talking about going to temples, everyone is talking about things like these. So you ought to be very careful, you ought to read a lot.
Okay.
Both within and outside the country.
Yes.
If I may just add,
Yeah.
trains. There are special trains only for religious tourism. So you better read up about all of that also, since you've already
Which
written
states-
it.
Yes, and which states are doing it?
Yeah.
There are so many states which are actually financing this. They
Including
have got
Delhi.
given
Including
different Delhi, Haryana, UP, everyone has this. They are encouraging people to go on pilgrimages.
Okay, sir.
And including going to Mecca, that's also religious in a way tourism.
Yes.
It's religious, but it's
Yes.
in a way tourism, you know.
Yes.
So your facts and all, everything related within the country, outside the country.
So prominent temples जितने भी हैं कंट्री के अंदर उसके बारे में आप अच्छी सर्विस बारे में समझ लीजिए और not only temples, the mosques, the gurudwaras,
Okay,
the
sir.
churches. बिकॉज जो सवाल आपने पूछा था आपसे मॉस्क के बारे में, एंड यू सेड नो यू हैव नॉट बीन देयर, इट कैन बी मिसइंटरप्रेटेड, मिसअंडरस्टूड ऑल्सो. It can be considered that you are communal.
Yes, sir.
So you have got to be very careful when you answer a question like this.
Okay.
That will not wash that there is no mosque in
Himachal.
in Uttarakhand.
Uttarakhand.
Nobody would accept that.
Okay.
So I think that what you should say is that you have been to a couple of places and दो चार जगह का आपने जहाँ पर एक्चुअली जहाँ देखा हो, कुछ भी देखा हो, आप उसके बारे में बताइए. ऐसे तो मॉस्क के अंदर महिलाओं को बहुत ज़्यादा इनकरेज नहीं किया जाता है, तो कि जाती हैं. ज़रूर है कि उनका स्थान ये है कि दे आर मेड टू सिट एट द बैक, नॉट इन द फ्रंट, बट इट इज़ नॉट एज इफ द women are not allowed in mosques.
We can say dargah also.
Sorry?
Dargah.
You can
Dargahs?
immediately say, I visited the Taj Mahal, there's a mosque there, but I didn't go in because generally women are not encouraged to go into mosques. But I've been to the Humayun's tomb, I've been to the Taj Mahal, I've been to
Or
the
Ajmer
Dargah.
if you have been.
Yeah, Ajmer. You
No,
can say
I
all
would
that.
suggest be careful about that. Don't give any value judgment that they're not allowed to go there.
Okay.
Because I was seeing a documentary in which they say that the women are not allowed to sit in the front, but they're allowed to sit at the back. And I've seen that even in the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, where there are women in large numbers.
Okay, so
Maybe perhaps in Mecca they're not.
In Mecca also, and even in some of the, like in Kashmir, I've been to Srinagar and
They sit at the back.
no, they have a separate
they
a
have a
separate
section.
area for them.
Yes.
They don't sit with the men. There's a
Curtain.
kind of jali thing in the middle. and
Jali
the-
thing.
The men sit there and the women sit on this side. So
So women ऐसा नहीं कि allowed नहीं है.
allowed नहीं है.
तो
Same
ऐसा
area में
कोई चीज़ मत कहिएगा जो कि आपको उस रिलीजन के बारे में आपकी जानकारी को क्वेश्चन करे. Don't talk about that या किसी को ऑफेंड करे.
Sorry, sir. Can I add one thing?
No, I'll let you just complete and then you can take up and आपने जो पूछा था उसके बारे में अबाउट खजुराहो. खजुराहो इज़ अ मेजर टूरिस्ट प्लेस.
yes, sir.
अगर आप ये कहती हैं कि आप रिलीजन की वजह से नहीं जाती हैं, तो शायद खजुराहो एक ऐसी जगह है जहाँ पर जाना चाहिए. ब्यूटीफुल टेम्पल्स, एब्सोल्युटली.
Yes, sir.
सो इस तरह की चीज़ों के बारे में दिस इज अ एरिया जहाँ पर आपसे कुछ ना कुछ पूछा जरूर जाएगा.
ठीक है.
राइट?
So even
अदरवाइज यू आर वेरी गुड.
the places that I've not been to, I will read about them also.
Yeah.
yes,
Major
the main
tours.
places. Absolutely.
Even if you have not gone, you should know about this because you are talking about it, going to these places as tourist.
Yes, sir.
You may have not have visited. I have not visited Mecca, but I should know something about Mecca. Yes, please, you wanted to say something.
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, मेरा एक कंसर्न ये भी था ना कि अगर हम ये कहते हैं कि मॉस्क में अगर women are not allowed, तो again there is something issue, something like Sabrimala temple kind of
Sabrimala?
issue. So constitutional issues can be raised over there.
नहीं, वो मुझे लगता है बड़ा offensive statement
हाँ,
होगा.
so don't say
So
that.
that's
Offensive
so
statement
just save yourself from saying such kind of words. कि हाँ.
नहीं, हम लोग क्या शनि टेम्पल में कहाँ अलाउड था? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अल्टीमेटली सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जब अलाउ किया था तब अलाउ किया गया था महाराष्ट्र में. अदरवाइज शनि टेम्पल में नहीं अलाउड था वुमेन का एंट्री. इट हैपेंस इन मेनी रिलीजन्स.
Basically, brush up all this. You are a good candidate. Yeah, you have performed very well. Just as he always says, this is what is available to the panelists and those who will take the interview. They will pick up anything and they will ask questions. So please go through that about all this religious tourism. You answered very well about your women-centric. I think you that was also one of the
answer
areas.
about film was
Yeah.
wonderful.
That was very
Wonderful.
good.
I'm sure that you
will
must
be
have been
there.
very
Yeah,
happy.
that is true.
Everybody will watch the Malayali film.
It was unexpected.
Very unexpected.
Very
It
unexpected.
took us by surprise.
Okay, sir.
And a very interesting film also.
Yes.
I watched it.
I
So
watched it.
yeah.
I watched it. Yeah.
And don't look
These
so
days,
worried.
access to
Looking very worried.
South Indian cinema has
No,
increased
no,
because of dubbing.
Absolutely.
This is the third attempt.
English dubbing.
Yes, sir.
Ji.
You should be confident. You have made it up to
Netflix
this
and all
point.
that.
I'm sure that you will do very well.
Thank
We feel that you are a very good candidate and a little bit of rushing in the next couple of months.
you. Yes.
But whatever we are suggesting to you today is only up to today.
Yes.
Many things are going to happen. Many new issues are going to come up. Some very explosive issues might come up, and you have got to be completely continuously to be in touch with whatever.
And one
is
thing
happening.
I will just tell you, they will no controversial topics are
Generally asked.
Generally asked. That is a no area for even internal guidance for the persons who take the interview. That there's no need of this Ayodhya temple or Hindu Muslim. बहुत ज़्यादा beyond a point they will not ask.
So,
No, but you were brave enough to say that communalism is an issue today.
Yes.
Good.
Right.
That you should.
You only said it. That interviewers will not ask these kind of questions. That what is your opinion about this?
And the various government schemes you must be aware of. All the government schemes for social, for education, for everything, you know. Central government, your government, I mean state governments, general. Not details, but what are the various schemes for women's empowerment, for children's empowerment, education, health. Just be aware. Brush up on that. And if you can write it down and put your thoughts together, it'll help you. You know, what are the various main points on various issues.
Okay.
It'll help you to formulate your thoughts better and be more confident as well.
And
Dikshita?
be happy.
Yeah, she's
Look happy.
so, yeah.
Okay.
Be happy and look happy.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
And practice, that is always better, you know, because this.
You have done very well, and we are very happy with your performance.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure that you will do very well in the
Thank
final
you so much.
examination.
Thank
Right.
you.
All the
good.
very best.
All the best.
Thank
All
you.
the very
All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Is there something that you want to ask us?
Sir, I had one question.
Yeah.
No, yeah, please do.
Sir, actually, if they ask me about Sabrimala issue and the temple that is there and the deity that is there, he is a celibate. So that is the reason that women are not allowed to enter the temple. And it is not that it is
Women of a certain age are not allowed to
Age
enter the
are
temple.
Only menstruating age
Puberty.
only.
Yeah.
So what should be my...
Nobody will ask you such a question, जो कि religiously बहुत sensitive issue है.
They'll only
After all,
ask-
celibate god हनुमान जी भी हैं.
हाँ,
जाते ही हैं, all women go there. सबसे बड़े ब्रह्मचारी तो हनुमान जी ही हैं. लेकिन सब जाते हैं उनके टेम्पल में. वहाँ के बारे में एक परंपरा बन गई है और अब उस परंपरा को लोग डिफेंड करते हैं और बहुत पैशनेटली डिफेंड करते हैं.
so I should stand with the Supreme Court
The
judgment.
Supreme Court judgment is final. That is the constitution of the country.
अब उसके हिसाब से चलिए।
आप कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के खिलाफ आपकी कोई ओपिनियन नहीं है.
Generally, you go by the rules, go by the constitutions. Ideology doesn't matter in civil service. That is it. That's nothing.
Not relevant.
You must be aware of right to equality.
Yes, sir.
On that basis, the Supreme Court has given the.
उतने पे दिया है उन्होंने.
That is the only thing.
लगे चलेंगे that after all हनुमान जी से बड़ा सेलिब्रेट कौन हुआ है?
And that is a very
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All the very best.
Thank you.